Today we're going to be talking about lesson 2.4, part A on multiplying integers. So in order to multiply rational numbers, we use the same rules for signs as you used for integers. You're going to first multiply them, and then if you have a fraction, you're going to write it in simplest form. So remember that we count the number of negative signs to decide if it's a positive or a negative. So an even number of negative signs makes a positive answer. An odd number of negative signs makes a negative answer. So when we're multiplying these rational numbers, when we're multiplying fractions, we're simply going to go straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So 6 times 1 is 6. 5 times 2 is 10. Negative times negative, that's 2 negative signs, which is an even number, so our answer will be positive. Now we simply need to simplify. So these are even numbers, so we can divide by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 3/5 is our final answer. So for number 2, before we can start and multiply, we have to snowball the mixed number and change it to an improper fraction. So go ahead and give this one a try and come back when you're ready to try it together. All right, now when you snowball this, 2 times 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So this is 8/3. Again, straight across the top, straight across the bottom. 1 times 8 is 8, and 3 times 3 is 9. Positive times negative is a negative. One negative sign gives us a negative answer. This cannot be reduced, so -8/9 is our final answer. Now, when we look at number 3 and 4 are decimals. So when we multiply decimals, we need to line up the last digits. So we don't have to line up the decimal point when we're multiplying, only when we're adding and subtracting. So here we have 8 times 1 is 8. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 for a placeholder. 8 times 5 is 40. Carry a 4. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4 is 9. We add our columns 8 and 0, 1 and 0, and 9. Count the number of times the decimal place has to move out and the number of times it moves back in. Now, a positive times a negative is a negative. Now, we have -9.18. We want to think about, is this a reasonable answer? So we know that 1.8 is close to 2 and 5.1 is close to 5. 2 times 5 is 10, so 9.8 is likely a reasonable answer. Now, if we look at number 4 again, we have 6.3 times 0.6. So go ahead and give this one a try. When you multiply, start on the right side. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry a 1. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 1 is 37. Since this number is a 0, we can stop. Count your decimal places out and back in. A negative times a negative is a positive answer. Now when we look at numbers 5 and 6, we are multiplying more than 2 terms each time. So the first step in number 5 is to change them all to fractions or improper fractions. We can't have any mixed numbers. So we need to rewrite the problem. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 7 is 63. Now, we can count our negative signs. One negative sign gives us a negative answer, and then we go straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So I know that 3 times 8 is 24, and 24 times 2 is 48. 2 times 63, we can work this out if you need to. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So now I have 126 times 3. So I have 378 over 48. Now, to change this to a mixed number, we divide the top by the bottom. So you are going to put that top number inside the house. "48 can't go into 3 or into 37. It can go into 378 approximately 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 4 is 28. Plus 5 is 33. So now I can subtract. 8 take away 6 is 2. 7 take away 3 is 4. So I have 7 and 42 48ths. I need to see if I can simplify this any further. So I know that 7 and 42 48ths, these are both positive numbers. So I can divide them by 2. 42 divided by 2 is 21. 48 divided by 2 is 24. Now I know that 21 and 24 are both multiples of 3. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So my final answer is negative 7 and 7/8. On this last one, when we're multiplying 3 rational numbers as decimals, we start from the front, multiply the first two, multiply that answer by the third number. So here we have a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. 7.2 times 0.1. 2 and 1 is 2. 7 and 1 is 7. Decimal points go out and come back in. So now we have negative 0.72 times negative 100. Negative times a negative is a positive, and we have 100 times 0.72. The number with more digits has to go on top. 0 times 2, 0 times 2, 1 times 2. 0 for a placeholder, 0 times 7, 0 times 7, and 1 times 7. We can add those columns, count our decimal point out and back in, and again a negative times a negative was a positive, so our final answer for number 6 would be positive 72.